Alright, welcome back to MSI previews. This time we have the playoff bracket stage, which is double elimination, and was seeded after the show the other... Oh, Lord Jesus, what did I just do? Okay.
Zoomed
Alright,
out a lot.
cool. I clicked it, apparently that zooms me out all the way. Didn't know that. I have Knight here. He'll be linked in the description. He's a Genshin Impact channel, but he'll still be linked in the description. And
I'm
Honk...
Genshin Impact, but when I stream, we talk about anything, including
Yeah.
this game.
Yeah, also, you play, like, Honkai Star Rail or whatever it's called.
I'm a Mihoyo verse horror, okay?
Yes.
I play all Hoyo verse games.
So,
It's that simple.
North America and EU got screwed on the play-in brackets, in my opinion, on the playoff brackets, in my opinion, because it is, Korea, it is Korea versus EU and NA versus China. And none of the teams I like are going to be favored in any of it. But at least it's double elimination. So at least all the EU teams are going to lose and all the NA teams are going to lose. And then we're going to have Mortal Kombat down here. It's fine.
Okay for somebody.
Yeah, it's fine. Copium. So I'm going to start with what I think. Instead of doing this in order, I'm going to do them in like the order of where I think teams have a chance. Going from not a chance to, we got some dumb stuff we play. So
going from this is going to be a slaughter to this is going to be a good game.
Yeah, so we're going to start with JDG Golden Guardians. All these little drafts we have are done like the top seed is on blue side, so it would be JDG blue side and Golden Guardians red side. I don't have bans up. I assume Kennan's banned every game.
Yeah, we're safely assuming Kennan's going to be banned.
We're assuming that Nautilus is probably going to be banned most of these games. We have a draft where there's a Nautilus, but we'll get to that. So, I think this is a worst case scenario for Golden Guardians. I think if they play stock standard versus JDG is going to run them over. Because Kanavi plays really strong carry junglers. He's a Chinese jungler. He can play carries. They have Ruler, and they have maybe the best top laner in the West. Sorry, the East. They have probably the best top laner in the world. And Golden Guardians, God bless them, is still Golden Guardians. There's not a single position of strength on this entire team. The best way to look at it, if you want to say Golden Guardians might have a chance, they took a game off BLG. JDG slaughtered BLG twice. Like, they beat them 3-1 and they beat them 3-2. They beat them, like, they're better in every position than BLG, and BLG was better in every position than Golden Guardians. Knight, you got a hope angle? Knight, you here? Oh Lord, my internet dropped off the face of the planet. Let me try to get my internet back, guys. Retrieve my friend.
Hello?
Hello? My internet dropped off the face of the planet.
Oh, you're in. That was you. I
That was
thought that was me.
Nope, it was me.
Oh. Okay.
Live screen. Okay, sorry for technical difficulties, folks. Because we are still recording, as far as I can tell. I'm having an issue being able to tell. Okay. Yes, we are still recording. Okay. Alright. Knight, do you have a hopium angle? Do you got a way Golden Guardians wins this series?
Alright, have you ever heard of cancer before?
So,
We can safely assume that if everybody else in the league gets cancer, they'll still lose.
So it's okay. All right. So it's safe to assume we don't think Golden Guardians can beat JDG.
I don't think they could beat anybody else in this bracket in MSI, like in MSI. I don't think.
All right, you think they're done? Sorry. You think they're gonna lose this and probably lose in losers bracket? Probably.
Yeah. Sadly, I think this is. You know what? They had a good ass run, dude. They participated, and we're moving on.
So probably the next series that I don't think anybody stands a chance in is Mad Lions versus T1. We have a fun psychotic draft here for everybody. It's kind of psycho. Because we have Faker.
I'm power predicting Faker on TF. I'm power predicting he's going to bring it up.
Yes, Knight is convinced that Faker's going to play Twisted Fate one game in this series. I'm convinced if you don't ban Nautilus, they're going to pick Nautilus every game and make you confused. I once again, I mean, there's a world where Mad Lions can take a game or two because Hylissang will play Rel or Pike, and Mad Lions loves being down 2-0.
That's when they're at their best.
That is when they're at their best. They came back. They came back from down 2-0 in semifinals and in finals.
Jesus Christ.
So that is when they're at their best. Also, they have a Korean top laner. Chasey's really good.
It's always the Koreans, dude.
Are they going to get stalked because I think that Owner and Faker are much better than Aloya and Niski? Yeah. Also, I think Gumayushi and Carrier are going to send Karzi and Hylissang to the Shadow Realm. But
I was going to say, that's bot lane hell right there.
Oh,
that's
hold on.
When you tell your bot laners at the beginning of the game, don't feed. Stay under tower. Never leave.
Also, we didn't give a prediction for Golden Guardians JDG. I think it's 3-0 Golden. I think it's 3-0 JDG. I don't think Golden Guardians take a game.
I don't think I don't think they do either. I legitimately don't.
I feel like Mad could take a game.
Yeah, I can agree there. I think Mad Lions has the ability to take a singular game.
Because there's always the chance. There's always the chance. And even not playing weird stuff. There's just always the chance that T1 flips a Baron for no reason.
Yeah.
They like doing that. It'll get you. It gets them in trouble sometimes. So there's that chance. I think it's 3-1. T1. I think T1 wins after 4 games. Going in order of think they can take more than one game or can take one game. Next we have Cloud9 versus BLG. Oh, we have this backwards. I have this draft backwards because Cloud9 should be... Also, I have the other draft backwards too. Okay, I have these drafts backwards because my brain said T1 was a higher seed than Mad Lions. They're not. Mad Lions is the high seed.
Wow.
So this draft is backwards because Mad Lions is the LEC 1 seed. So they're the high seed. So Mad Lions would have blue side. This is just T1's on blue side in this imaginary draft. And on this draft, BLG is on blue side and C9's on red side. And this would actually be swapped for game 1 in reality. C9's the higher seed. Does that mean I think this matters? No, I don't. I think C9 can take 1 or 2 games off them. I think this draft I have on here is the worst case scenario for C9. I think if C9 tries to play stock standard and leaves Kindred up, that they're going to get ran over.
I was going to say, I think we have a very, very powerful duo in BLG's mid lane and jungle. I absolutely love that Galio Kindred duo. They do so well together. It's performed pretty well all season. And just like from a logical standpoint, Kindred's gonna always try to push and invade and get her marks and stuff like that, and try to dive people and get her kills. And then she's just got Galio as a little bodyguard following her around, backing her up. It's so nightmarish to deal with. You really just want to ban Kindred almost every game or something like that, in my opinion, because I wouldn't want to deal with that nightmare. As a jungler, that sounds like hell, and I don't even jungle. Just as a jungler, I'd be trying to fight very hard for not wanting to see that.
I think BLG is going to draw a Kindred ban and a Nautilus ban every game because they've shown that they will play the Nautilus mid with Nidalee. And if they play Nautilus mid with Nidalee or play Aphelios Nautilus with Kindred, or Galio Kindred, like, I think you have to ban Kindred and Nautilus every game against them. This is just like the worst case. I think there's a chance in game 1 we could get Kindred on the board because I think if you're going to let something through to try to show off and you have a counter, I think game 1s are always the best case for it. I think Poppy could be a really interesting power pick for everybody in every team, to be fair. Because I think if you can play it in jungle and you can play it in top, you could blind pick it a lot.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good flex pick.
I know.
Since we're talking about the jungle flex picks and stuff, one that we don't see in pro play, we never see it in pro play, and it's always my go-to because you play Kindred, is the counter pick, is Ramus. And I think that would be a really fun game 1. Let's try it out. I don't expect to see it at all, by the way. I just don't. But I think that's a fun game 1. Try this thing out. Throw Ramus into the jungle and tell him to go scrap it out with this Kindred a lot.
The other pick I just haven't put in any of these drafts is I'm sure somebody will play Kha'Zix at some point in one of these teams. Maybe Blabber. In this case, for C9, maybe soon, I don't know. I also think that it's going to be really hard for Fudge to resist trying to take the counter pick against Ben and trying to play against him at least once, because Ben struggled a tiny bit with Licorice and Fudge beats Licorice was better than Licorice most of the season. I just don't see it being fun because I think Ben's going to basically say, "Hi, I have a pentakill with Fiora at Worlds. Here's my Fiora pick. Beat that, please. Dare you." And I don't know if we want to play man cards here. I think Cloud9 could take 2 games off them. I think there's a world where if you draft right, they could take 2 games off BLG. I don't think they'll beat BLG, but I think they could take 2 games off BLG.
Yeah, I agree with you on both standpoints of that. I think this will be a very entertaining series to watch because of that, though. I think it's going to go to Game 5, and it's going to be very intense. It's either going to go to Game 5, right, or we're going to watch C9 actually get steamrolled over. Yes. I think we're getting Game 5 where we're only getting 3 games. No in between.
All right,
I don't think we have a Game 4 world.
So if everything goes chalk, like we think it will, BLG JDG is your next round, which is a rematch of China's finals, and the first match of losers bracket is C9 GG, which is a rematch of North American finals.
I think Golden Guardians goes home every game there.
Yep, I don't think this is fun for them. We have Mad Lions going down to the lower bracket, and then we have Gen.G versus G2. This is the way I think this is a potential draft. I think it's really hard to predict what G2 is going to draft because they have a bunch of stuff they can draft. Caps played 23 different picks. Yike plays a bunch of different junglers, including the Kha'Zix we mentioned and the Bel'Veth I have on the screen. You have to ban Draven against Hansama. And this is a draft with Sejuani mid. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this out loud. This is my prediction. I think G2 beats Gen.G.
I'm going to give my opinion. I think if G2 starts digging around in those deep-ass pockets of theirs, those pockets so deep you're almost shoulder all the way in on them motherfuckers, I think they got it. The problem is I'm afraid they're gonna drop the ball by trying to draft standard and get 8. I think though if they're allowed to and they play their fun pocket picks that they've just had a good time with, this is going to be an extremely good series that they have a good chance to win.
This is the most stock standard by the book team in Gen versus the team that will play everything in G2.
Yeah.
Like, this is the most chaos drafts we can get. I think this goes for every team that is NA or EU. I think that they are destined to either play some weird stuff or get annihilated. I don't think you can go stock standard against any of these teams. They will show up.
I was gonna say it's in my mind. This is like literal sports, right? Where practice makes perfect, and obviously the Korean teams have a lot more practice, and they just play so much more. So when you come at them with good basics and fundamentals like that, they're gonna walk all over you. You can't play like that. You have to do some weird street ball moves that make no fucking sense, and just catch them sleeping in categories that they normally would excel in. Otherwise, it's just not a fair game because I think their basics overall are just much more solid.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, yeah.
I think the way this goes, G2 here, T1 here. T1 probably beats G2 at that point. So T1 here, JDG, BLG. I think JDG just beats them again. JDG, T1 here. JDG is my pick to win the whole thing. They win here. JDG at final. T1 falls to lower bracket. This bracket is Gen.G versus Mad. I think Gen.G wins that. Which means they would face... The brackets flip when you go to lower bracket. So the loser here goes bottom and the loser here goes top, I think. So they don't get so you don't get a bunch of rematches. C9 Golden Guardians is here. I think C9 wins that. They're here. And so they would face G2. C9 versus G2 would be what this is. That's fun. I think G2 probably wins that because of the Psycho picks, but it could really go either way. But I'll say G2 here. That means this is Mad versus BLG. I assume that BLG... I say BLG wins that, but it could be Mad, but we'll say BLG. BLG G2 here. Say G2 wins. You get G2 T1 here. T1 wins. Your final is a rematch of the semis from top. And it's JDG T1 again. I think JDG just beats them again. There's a world where JDG T1 happens 10 times. You know what I mean?
I think yeah, I know what you're saying. Can I say, I think when it comes to JDG versus T1, I think because, how do I phrase this? Because it's T1, right? There's always a world where they have a chance to just knock them out.
Yeah, but I think Kanavi's better than Owner, and I think that Ruler's better than Gumayushi.
I agree with, I get what you're saying. I'm just stating, I think that literally this could go vice versa in either way, shape, or form because it's like there's a chance.
There's also the chance that any of these teams fall to lower bracket and get hot and make the lower bracket run.
Yeah.
There's a world. I mean, there's a Psycho world where this finals JDG G2 because G2 beats T1 here. Like, you get the same run I just said, but G2 beats T1. You get JDG G2. And if G2 makes the freaking finals, they're going to play some dumb stuff, and nobody's going to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Because that's the problem I think the Eastern teams are going to have, is if the Western teams play not stock standard and play their deep picks and play stuff, I think the Chinese and Korean teams will have a problem adapting. Not BLG, because they've already been there, but the other three, I think they might have problems adapting.
Yeah, and that from what I remember, it seems like Korean teams always tend to be very stubborn as well.
Yes.
So when put into these adapt or die situations, they have a really violent habit of looking around and screaming, "I'll just fucking die! I don't care."
Like Jinji versus Damwon at Worlds. Those are two Korean teams, but Damwon had a wrinkle in that cane pick, and the only thing Jinji could do against it was go, okay, we're gonna ban it. We're not gonna try to counter pick it. We're not gonna try to play against it. We're just gonna ban it and not worry about it.
Yeah.
Like that became their big problem. And BLG adapted pretty quick when they lost that game to Golden Guardians, where Golden Guardians played knock up Aphelios and murder him instantly. And then they banned Yasuo, and that whole plan went away.
Yeah. So those teams have proven to be able to adapt.
So BLG can adapt. I don't know if JDG will adapt the same way. I'm interested to see if we see more Ornn and more Kha'Zix and more Poppy in different roles.
Yeah.
Um,
That's another thing. I forgot completely about Ornn right now. Ornn has the potential to just be a huge,
Ornn's been played once in play-ins.
crazy. He has the potential to become just a huge staple up there in top lane because it's Ornn. He has an insane win rate right now. He's always really good, especially on scaling comps. Just a good solid tank unit.
The Western teams are probably very likely to fall back to tank top if, they start losing these skill matchups. Falling back to tank top's not a bad thing. Sion Ornn. Especially these teams that are going to play carry junglers like Kindred or Nidalee or Kha'Zix or Viego. Like carry junglers are going to be an issue. We've seen a Kindred. We've seen June's Kindred, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure we saw June's Kindred, and it got super fed and dominated the game. And then we saw June's Nidalee, and we've seen Yikes Nidalee twice, and it's Kha'Zix. And I don't think we've seen any other. I mean, we've only seen 3 of these teams play. So, most of these teams haven't played in 3 patches.
Yeah, which is also going to be a factor. Do they know what the meta is and stuff in these patches and whatnot?
Because some teams are famously stubborn and don't adapt fast enough. Also, a bunch of these teams haven't been in London scrimming. A bunch of these teams just flew in this weekend. Jinji plays G2. Jinji plays G2 tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.
Jesus.
Like, G2's been there. G2's played 4 games. Like,
yep, they've gotten their practice in and stuff, and they're getting warmed up. That is also a huge factor. Is getting good practice games in to understand things and really fine tune your game.
I know Faker. I know T1 didn't get there till today. I mean, till yesterday. Like,
yeah, makes it
Mad Lions has been there the whole time, I'm pretty sure. Because they're a European team. I know C9's been there the whole time. I know C9 came at the beginning. But JDG hasn't been there, I don't think. And Jinji hasn't been there. And T1 hasn't been there. So, do you have a pick against Nautilus, or do we just ban it every game? Because this Nautilus mid's going to be a thing. This Kha'Zix jungle is going to be a thing. This Nidalee jungle is going to be a thing. Like,
yeah, that's another thing in pro play. It always seems like we have trends and things like that that get picked up a lot to throw the enemy team off guard until it gets countered and shown that it's not the best in every situation, and then it kind of fizzles out. Mm-hmm. So if you're not able to react to it, you're forced to eat up a ban, which is always rather harsh on certain teams, especially when you're facing certain other teams where, if you always have to ban Nautilus, but then there's an extremely good Lucian player, it makes it to where now we're screwed with 2 of our first 2 bans. and we leave up things that we typically wouldn't and don't want to.
It's like if you're banning Red Side against T1, you have to ban Nautilus, Draven, and Kinnan, and then you're sitting there like we had our bans.
Yep.
So what do we? It's like whatever they pick now is whatever they pick. The teams with the deepest pools that will play the weirder stuff are going to have the advantage here. T1, Mad's going to have pocket picks. T1's going to have stuff planned. G2, I believe they'll have stuff. I don't know with the North American teams and the Chinese teams.
Yeah.
BLG has shown the willingness to play the Nautilus thing. They played it. They dominated with it. They dominated with it. Like, yes, they dominated like a CB LOL or an LA or an LLA team. That doesn't matter. They dominated with it.
A win is still a win, and it shows that they have the confidence to whip it out in any situation. And when it performs well, it always gives a gigantic ego booster.
Yes.
Which is, it's such a huge, powerful thing that people forget about in these types of situations. Sometimes you can literally just get hyped up on something and have a massive god tier run just because of that. Adrenaline works in every way, shape, and form.
So, what's your prediction, Knight? Who wins MSI? I gave mine.
No, like I said, I think that T1 will be able to knock a game off of was it BLG? Can't remember. No, it was T2. I don't know. I think T1 is gonna win it all. I really do. If they adapt and play right instead of being stubborn.
I think we end up with 6+ games of JDG T1. I think they play each other here, and I think they play each other here. Now, who do I think wins? Like you could convince me T1 wins both times, or JDG wins both times, or they split it. But I think they're playing here, and I think they're the final matchup because I don't know who's coming out of this. I don't know who's coming out of the rest of the teams that'll beat either of those teams. Well, there's a world where this is Gen G T1 again, and in that world, I don't know.
I don't know. I think I'm just giving it to T1. I really do think they'll be able to show up. It's T1. They'll bring their picks. They'll have their game plans and know what they're doing.
So you don't believe in the T1 finals curse?
No.
They've lost the last 4 finals they've made, by the way.
I understand that. I think I'm still gonna give it to them. I don't think it's a curse. I think it's like unrefined gameplay and making little errors and stuff like that.
They lost last year MSI to RNG. They lost Summer to Gen G. They lost Worlds to DRX. They lost Spring to Gen G.
I think they got it. Honest to God, I do. I mean, and hey, you know what? Having a bigger lose streak just means that it's more reason to play better and work through things.
Do you think any of the Western teams like make this lower bracket final?
No. Honestly, no. I have no faith in them at all, dude. At all. None. I'm sorry.
Shun the non-believer. Shun the non-believer.
No faith in them, dude. I'm sorry. I just don't. And I love C9. They're one of my favorite teams in terms of pro play. I absolutely love them. I don't see it going well for them. I see them having a couple like a game win, maybe, like not like winning a series, maybe 2. But after that, I think they're going home.
Man, if we get to here, and all this is Korea, China, like Worlds was, like why are we watching LCS, LEC?
Because it's the way the world works. It's just the standard pro play, dude. It's just how it always seems to happen, bro. World rematch, baby.
G2 won MSI 3 years ago.
I don't know. I think they could do well. I think G2 could do well, but I don't think they're going to
I
win
think they can do well
the
because
game at
they'll
all.
pick weird stuff. And that's the reason I think Mad
Yeah.
can take a game from T1 is because they're going to play Pike and Rel and maybe TF mid and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right, so your pick was
Like
JD. My pick was
I see
JDG.
teams winning games.
Go ahead.
Teams winning games, but not sets at
Mm-hmm.
all.
So your pick was JDG. I mean, my pick was JDG 3-2 against T1 in the finals. Your pick is T1. I assume. Huh?
I'd like to see a game best of 5. Honestly, I think it would go best of 5. I really do.
So your pick is T1 3-2 over JDG in the finals.
Yeah.
All right. Glad we agree.
Glad
we agree that the Chinese number 1 seed and the Korean number 2 seed are our finalists in every situation.
Yeah. I mean, I see that there's a world where I think Gen G could go, but I don't think this is that world. Like, you can make that argument, and I'd hear you out. You know what I mean?
I think there's always the chance that T1 flips too many Barons and they just somehow get eliminated way too early, and we're just all confused.
They lose the first set to Mad Lions.
They lose to Mad Lions. The world, like that commentary team is going to be in shambles. If they lose to Mad Lions, I hope Captain Flowers is calling that game. Because I just want to hear it.
Oh, fuck. There's a world where it's just they lose Mad Lions 3 games in a row by flipping Baron fight 3 games in a row, and just fuck.
It'll always bug me. It'll always bug me. They came this close to losing to KT Rolster. In 5 games. They went best of 5, and they won the last 2 game. They won the last game on a Baron flip. Like this close to losing to KT Rolster. Like
they just fuck around and find out too much, dude.
They do. There's literally a thing called the T1 Baron, which is as soon as the Baron's up, T1 just force it to start a fight.
That's fucking beautiful.
Like, that's what they do. It's the T1 Baron. Like, that's what they do.
Oh, God.
They control the vision and they're really good at it. But, so, in conclusion, I think JDG wins this. Knight thinks T1 wins this. The team that could really weirdly just fall out of this whole thing, somehow we both agree is T1.
Yeah.
Like, we both agree somehow.
I'm picking them to win it all, but I think they can lose round 1 very easily.
We both agree that T1 has the most that has the biggest explosion potential, where they don't get a grasp on the meta or something happens and they just get beat by something that we're not expecting them to get beat by.
Yeah, I think they're the most volatile team out of everybody here right now.
Like
I do.
It'll always come back to me. The Caitlyn thing can happen. That happened at Worlds.
Oh yeah, Game 5.
Where you leave Caitlyn, where Caitlyn's left up against Gumayushi, who's never lost a game on it, and T1 blinks and doesn't take it.
Yep.
Because their entire draft plan was built around the fact it'd never be left open.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I could see some weird shit like that getting them.
Especially,
they are one of the most volatile top tier teams. They have violent habits of shooting themselves in the foot.
I don't think it'll happen against Mad, because I don't think Mad plays enough weird stuff. But I think if G2 gets past Gen G, they're gonna, and especially if they do it with their bag, like with all their weird picks, they're gonna go into round 2 and they're gonna be staring at T1 with their entire bag ready.
Oh yeah.
And all it takes is blinking twice, and you're down 2-0 or you're tied 2-2 going into game 5, and in one game, I mean, anybody could win one game in League of Legends. I mean, T1 started Worlds last year like 2-3 or something in groups. Like
that is true.
Like you blink, you've lost 2 games. So anything can happen. We think it'll go chalk. Either one way or the other, it'll go chalk. But anything can happen in League of Legends. Alright, that's the video. And probably not going to do another one of these unless like we get to like, I don't know when the next day off is for they take Mondays off. So if we get to next Monday and interesting things has happened and we have cool matchups, we might make another video.
That's fine.
Otherwise, if everything's going chalk, don't really expect to hear from us.
Oh, I thought you already ended and were just talking to me.
No. I'm ending now. Check out Knight. He does Genshin Impact. This video took a lot shorter than I thought it would. Check me out. Stay here. I have shorts. I will stream more. Probably not here though. Probably on Twitch. But all that will be linked in the description. Maybe not the description of this, but you know, in the eventuality.
Description, pinned comment, or in the channel description.
It's probably in the channel description at that point. So I will see y'all. At the very least, I will be back for probably semifinals preview when we get to these brackets here. Winners bracket semis, losers bracket semis, and finals, because they'll play this in probably a 3-day weekend. So that's typically what they do. That's what we'll be back for. Y'all have a nice one.